Now ready and lingering right behind SJW here before they try to play around the point together. But take a look at these shots from SJW as Impedi does get stunned, playing very split up. SJW with a shot onto Sinkers to completely tame the Black Cat. The BRB does bring Sinkers right back though, and looking over to the left side, trying to call out where Hoodie may be relying on, holding a different off angle, but they're walking up for free. They've already gotten 2 of these checkpoints. Looking behind them, Sinkers is back. One shot as SJW shoots him down again.
Yeah, that's a great opening KO for them. Nightmare now starting to get very close to taking this point as NRG looking to desperately try and steal it back. But Window is so low at the moment and will get sent back to Bruce Banner. And Mace going toe-to-toe with the Dino, saying, I feel way more comfortable this time on the Emma. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4 falling all after one another like dominoes. And Nightmare will get the first point.
Big highlight was SJW, the way that SJW was also lingering back to help heal for Fidel and shoot down and completely shut down the Black Cat approach here too. But now you see Light on the prowl, trying to get the mark down too. Finding Stinkers, it's going to be that Daredevil v Daredevil, and calling out the BRBs is going to be another big one because you won't be able to have that in your utility as Energy. You're still holding that path line, and Hoodie finds Mace first.
Yeah, that's a good one for Hoodie, and now they're definitely going to follow up NRG. You've got to make it count, and boy, will they, as Madara chomps down onto Light, denying any sort of potential from the Daredevil, and Nightmare just trying to fall back to group together here, which they do need to, and that's something they were doing successfully in the domination. When they lost 1 or 2, they were making sure they regrouped quickly, not just staggering themselves too much.
This is what I was mentioning too about like Phoenix. You have these close quarter fights, especially once you get that payload moving, and there is going to be so much damage being done. Chime does have the reset, but Dell's gonna start things off with the Rager Royal. Plus, they find Sinkers first as SJW still holding on to that Kraken Impact. Now you have to see to try to match that, and they find the trade-off as Mace goes down next. Impunity also has the reset with a piece of the Abyss, but it's just straight neutral fights as Mono is the next to go down, activating that Dino Ultimate, catching SJW after activating the Bleed, and also isolating him from inside the bubble. He has nowhere to go. Good luck. And it's going to have to be another reset now from Nightmare. As you mentioned, Gaskin, they have to try to regroup.
Yeah, not the end of the world. Still plenty of time because they were able to get that first point so quickly. So 3 minutes and 40 left on the clock. They can back off, and they are going to have ults to work with. 3 to be precise. NRG are going to have Hulks, whilst Hoodie to work with the invisible boundary. We've already seen how important and integral that invisible boundary can be to stopping the kind of action that Nightmare want to take going into it. But everything slows down a little bit as we focus on Chime once more. And again, just hitting so hard is Chime. So difficult for them to push up right now with that damage output.
It's like that satisfying noise when you get the 2-tap on a 275 hero, and you can't really do much about it, but you let the devil out on top of it all. Seekers does get stunned. Light tries to match that, but guess what? You've lost out on Mace and Fidel. Mace, every single time, who has gone through that choke, has gotten sent right back over to the spawn room gates, and NRD are dominating on this control over the point.
That being said, Invisible Boundary got used. Nightmare didn't use too much in terms of their own ult economy here, so they're going to have everything to move forward for themselves. The Sonic Seduction is going to be a key factor here for Mace as well. Try and draw some of those strategists in and allow Stinkers maybe to get behind the back line, but I don't think it's going to happen too much because Light is going to be there on the Star-Lord to deny.
See right, Chime getting harassed here up on the high ground before backing away, finding Light, who's trying to displace him. Here comes the Psionic Seduction. Chime gets away right on time. Ensong Inferno is still available. Kraken Impact doesn't really get the reset that they really needed to rely on for the extra pressure. The way that Energy was able to kite away. Here comes Window opening things up with Chime, and Chime isolates Light. Gets that next pickup again, shutting down the Star-Lord approach from Nightmare's changeup. They have the Rage Royal Flush for this next contention, and even with these different changes that Nightmare's rolling out with, they're trickling in like flies.
Again though, Chime with a slap and a wallop over and over again. It's a very satisfying noise, as you had mentioned, but it is going to be slowly crawling forward now here for Nightmare, and they do have the Raging Royal Flush to follow up with as well if they'd like to use it soon. Mace is taking so much damage though, needs to stay alive, and here comes that Raging Royal Flush as Nightmare looks to try and sustain.
And with the Sia to try to match that in terms of the damage output together with Madara. Remember what we highlighted from this Devil Dino in terms of the damage output together with the Devil Beast Rampage, going on a rampage and trying to harass Nightmare. They come back together around this choke. They're playing very split up. That BRB being right there to their left, and with the Freedom Charge from Infinity, he rallies the troops to harass NRG in their face. SJW opens it up by finding Madara. That's a great first pick off here, and that's 2 out, forcing the swap into the Doctor Strange to try to get a portal play going.
Harassing is the perfect word. I think the Nightmare have just been able to constantly force NRG back when they get a little bit of oomph. Boy, do they push and take their advantage. There is going to be a last-ditch attempt at a portal, though, and it is going to be set through by NRG.
I love the positioning of this portal too, just so that way they use it for some extra cover. They go in with the invisible boundary together with Hoodie. Kraken impact though, finding one on the outskirts of the boundary. It's gonna be Window. He jumps back. The protection behind Madara's shield keeps him up. And Light now has the Galactic Legend with no invisible boundary to counter him.
Not at all, and they have been forced back, Nightmare, so they were so close, but now Galactic Legend gets denied, ripped out of the sky, and NRG continue to control this, but Madara has gone down, so he's going to be advantage over towards Nightmare.
It always feels so crazy when the Hulk gets the snipe from a mile away, but you have to expect it here, and right when they felt the pressure backing away, Nightmare just do enough to get to that second checkpoint, and even force out a few staggers here, now as the force regroup comes in for NRG.
I think so much focus was onto Star-Lord that Nightmare were able to just kind of catch them off guard a little bit with the force on the back line. And now Nightmare have been able to push onto that second point and start to trench towards third. Do NRG have any sort of changes at the moment? It's not like it's been going badly for NRG. They've just been losing out a couple of times when it comes to ult economy.
Looking up to the other side already, trying to get that Galactic Legend for the next round here. Aztec having to back away here close to that God of Mischief. You can see Mace here with the Sonic Seduction, just trying to pull everybody together, but clearing enough space and trying to boost up more into that beam, letting the double out as Fidel activates the Rager Royal Flush, needs some help before backing away. Has enough, but he runs out of those cards. 6-second cooldown, by the way, to get each of those cards back up as Mace finds Stinkers, and Light has a Galactic Legend. It was answered from Aztec, who got the God of Mischief in the form of the Invisible Woman for that boundary.
SJW has been doing bits on Winter Soldier, by the way. Bucky has been hitting hard and taking down Stinkers over and over again as Freedom Charge is used again to force back the spawn. And it's SJW once more with final hits. The KOs have been massive and he's going to have ult available.
Ready to go here for a Kraken impact. Can it go big? Window with the Eye of Agamotto could change this up with Hoodie having the invisible boundary together with Madara. That's going to be a lot of damage to worry about. Together with Madara and Chime, Pain is going to let the Kumiho unleash first though. And as the Eye of Agamotto comes in, trying to find the stun, finds the stun onto Pain and SJW. Madara answers right back and Seekers follows up to find Mace. Both of the Vanguards are off the table for Nightmare. With the Kraken impact from SJW, it is nothing. Window shuts him down together with Chime. Too much of the impact here, so much damage, and with overtime ticking away, can they recontest? No, they cannot. Time is of the essence, and they still have the invisible boundary from NRG to help them hold their defense. But Nightmare got it pretty far here, Gaskin, right before that third point.
Yeah, I think they'll be relatively happy with that performance. Sure, they didn't get the full 3, but it's a long old distance, and they did it relatively quickly in certain points, so NRG need to have an answer back here. But as I was mentioning earlier, with that Devil Dino, you are going to have somewhat of a better time being able to bully your opposition off of some of those points and just through the middle, especially alongside the Hulk if they decide to go down that route. But at the moment, hovering a Doctor Strange instead. But what will be interesting if we see Stinkers on that Wolverine that's currently being hovered as well, because we've already seen what Stinkers can do on Wolf, and it could just open up things for NRG here and allow them to take this first point so quickly if Nightmare aren't expecting it.
Honestly, SJW and we're seeing from Chime are just putting in so much of that damage pressure here too, but denying the Kraken impact reset is also so detrimental, and it goes hand in hand with what we're talking about before after that first map, Gaskin, in the communication that is obviously flowing for NRG.
So a lot of pressure on NRG at this first point. If they can take it very quickly, they're going to be in such good stead to try and win this entire thing. But for Nightmare, I'm curious on their hold, especially if Impunity can kind of cause disruption as that Captain America alongside Light over on Black Cat. This could be fun to watch for Nightmare if they play this one correctly.
Oh, the counter portal. The counter portal. They're calling them out, Mace! With the opening. Little cheeky. We take those. Just a little bit of the KOs here as they like to open things up and delay the oppression from NRG. But you know what? You always like to see that every now and then, Gaskin, and it's just a little bit of a statement before he swaps right over to the Emma Frost.
Some unwanted guests.
Goes back to his comfort. And that just slows NRG down a little bit, but of course they still have plenty of time to work with. But this is the POV I was curious on. Light on Black Cat at the moment could certainly be
Won't be needing that.
in a situation where you can win this game for your team if you play it in the right way. He's just trying to find backline at the moment, but struggling really to keep up with them as they are counter-rotating, unknowingly so.
Now looking at the way that Light's gonna try to harass his backline here, they find the Phoenix, they find the Invis, they find the resets here, the Ifrims coming in, has harassed Hoodie enough to take down the Invis. They traded off, but thankfully with Aztec still being alive, they have the BRB to bring Hoodie together. Windows is gonna be the only casualties here for Energy, but at least your Venom will get back into the action just as quickly. Stinkers really stepping up to find SJW next. The defensive side of Nightmare is slowly falling down, and Mace needs some help. They're playing Ring Around the Rosie behind the wall and the rocks, and is still alive. The support from Nightmare could only be so much here, and it's a lot of this damage output that Energy is putting down, and they still have a Sia as Stinkers finds the next victim.
Stinkers is like nightmare fuel at the moment, just hunting down victim after victim, as we will see NRG get this point fairly quickly, to be honest. It was disrupted initially by that portal from Mace, but it's not going to stop NRG in their quest to try and dominate this map and take this series 2-0, as Madara now is going to get very much in the face of Nightmare, ready to just open things up for Stinkers yet again. When you've got Windows and Madara getting in front of the faces of Nightmare, it just opens the world for Stinkers. He's having a field day.
Having a little too much fun here. The Wolverine also could try to bait out a lot from Mace if they activate the diamond form, but even worse for Infinity, he can't really get set up behind his own walls. Still have the Sia being held onto as Chime harassing him from the high ground. Look at the Sonic Seduction. The Sia is going to be met, and the Galactic Legend, as you go all the way up with the Ensong Inferno, you come crashing down. Can there be any follow-up? As Aztec has a BRB to bring Window back, just delaying the inevitable before diving in together with Madara unleashing the Rampage to find Pain. And that is a huge pickoff, because you will not be able to have the Kumio unleash to keep everybody up.
Okay, well, the BRB has been huge, hasn't it, for NRG? It's been really the difference maker as SJW gets kidnapped. Sadly, cannot survive as Nightmare fall down to just 2, and they'll have to reset. And maybe they have a chance to try and get to this point with the portal. And yeah, here comes that portal from Mace. But is there going to be enough sustain here to try and avoid the damage that's coming through? Impunity's already taken so much, but just about survives. But the invisible boundary now is going to open up the door here for NRG, and NRG should be able to comfortably take this second point.
Did I cancel Fidel right there too, who tried to use a Raging Roll Flush on Q with the way that Stinkers just went all the way up with those adamantium claws to come crashing down like a meteor. Madara follows up to find 2 more, and Stinkers is stepping up on this pick, on this change-up, and take a look at the time bank too, Gaskin. You got 4 minutes, less than 25 seconds on the clock.
When you look at some of the best Wolverine players that we have in Ignite, the likes of Daze, the likes of Stinkers, when they start to get going, it's almost impossible to try and counteract it, because as soon as you start focusing on the Wolverine, you start to get bullied by the Venom, by the Double Dino, and by the Phoenix. It just, your eyes are elsewhere, and it gives so much freedom to the rest of the squad. And Nightmare at the moment, they look a little bit lost at trying to keep up with the pressure that NRG are applying.
Jurassic Park accurate lure right here too, with the way that Madara has just been harassing SJW on this Star-Lord. Now, activating Blackout, Ultimate, Light, and Infinity, they're going hand in hand. The BRB, once again, Gaskin, getting the impact that we keep highlighting, bringing another member back. They did lose out on Hoodie, but the Sia is still allowing Energy to come right back around here. They're going to be able to force their way back before Nightmare try to regain their control over these chokes.
I was going to say, you'd probably prefer Hoodie to get the one to get onto the BRB spawn, but Chime does have Ensong Inferno available, though, so it might actually work out for them here. NRG, as they continue to push forward. Mace taking so much damage as well, and will fall. It's Stinkers yet again in that feed. Fidel has to pop Raging Royal Flush as the last attempt to stay alive alongside Galactic Legend here.
And the focus, too, onto finding that Gambit. It may not have hit its mark, but guess what? Stinkers has hit his mark onto Impunity before letting loose on the Freedom Charge. The Vanguards are not having a good day when Stinkers is out on the field, and he comes diving in like a torpedo before backing away. Activates the overhealth. You see the freedom charge. You force it to get popped before going back into the safe arms of your own strategist.
It was so good from NRG as well, utilizing the bubble from Adara on the Devil Dino to avoid all of that damage from the Galactic Legend, and NRG very cleverly playing around any sort of damage possibilities from Nightmare, and now they can press their advantage again, although Invisible Boundary will come out from Pain.
Somebody needs to put this dinosaur back on the extinction list. This is just way too much damage output. It's been a pain as the Invisible Boundary was at least met up, and Modern taking a good chunk of that damage. Being able to get away, though, together into Hoodie's Invisible Boundary, keep everybody up for NRG. They need to stay contested. Remember, they didn't get it to the finish line. If you were Nightmare on the attack, they're still trying to hold them back. But with Window finding Mace, you have to now deal with the Sia. That is only 3 members out left for Nightmare with nobody left to contest, and NRG get it all the way to the finish line.
We have found a team that can utilize Devil Dino to his best ability. So good watching NRG use him to full effect, especially that bubble protecting everyone from Galactic Legend. A winning moment, really, for this NRG team here, Vicky.
Yeah, I loved it. And the damage output too, right? You're harassing these strategists. You know that their game plan is to rely on the Rage and Road Flush. Then you have to consider, just keeping everybody up when it came to the Gambit, and then shutting down the damage output when it came to the Galactic Legend with that bubble that we see the Devil Dino have.
Cozy, they've done it. Devil Dinosaur has succeeded over Gambit for the first time here in Stage 1.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, it's nice to see, the Vanguard that we're all experiencing in ranked play show the same here at the pro play level. And honestly, I think first, just big tip of the cap to the new backline. I mean, just, slotting right in there and having, no falter at all. And, I think it's Dogman who highlights this a lot, but it needs to be said more. There's just not a lot of Wolverines in NA play. And we can see exactly, I always like to say this, it's an easy hero to pick up, but man, at the top end, it is so tough to deal with a great Wolverine. Stinker's one of the few. I mean, he's immortalized in the history, Vicky, of the spray for how good he is of a play he made, at least, but we saw it right there.
Yeah, exactly. And when you also are able to isolate either an Invisible Woman out of your own Invisible Boundary, you get a cancel at the startup of another ultimate utility. If you get to shut down maybe the attempt on a Rage and Road Flush, you're shooting down the opposition from trying to lean into that win condition. So it was a great swap up, but then we also got to see, unfortunately, from, the Emma Frost not really getting the extension because of that Wolverine.
And Chime just continues to show why there's such a big anchor of this team. Him and Stinkers together is just a deadly duo, to be honest. But one thing I think that definitely we highlighted early was I just felt like Window and Madara had such a good presence as that Vanguard line and made, Light struggle a ton there on the Black Hat, not getting that value. And it's tough because if you're going to be the cat, at times Madara getting the picks on it, you've got to get those backline strategists or at least make those duelists uncomfortable. You've got a lot of KOs and combos to make quick, light work of them, not getting those values there.
Wow, I mean, when you look at everything they've been able to do as a team, Cozy, you've got to be impressed with NRG. After the rebuild as well, I think they'll be delighted with that performance. Especially after that initial round, they were probably going to be a little bit flustered, thinking, okay, maybe this is going to be more of the same from what happened in preseason, previously in playoffs. But the response was unbelievable from NRG, and I think that they should be very proud of themselves and how they've just performed in that game.
And what we're seeing a lot, Vicky, is that you look at all these teams, and the ones that are winning more specifically, they all have a very top-tier diver, right? So whether it's Daredevil on Stinkers, or if we look to Speedery, we can continue to go on, Days being another. Dive is thriving so much right now that you need that dive role to get the most value of that. And I think we're going to continue to see that. Devil Dinosaur obviously, does help with the peel and can prevent some of that. But that is going to be a key focus for a lot of these pro teams as they move forward. And NRG continues to get that 2-0 and really correct the ship, as you just said, Gaskin. Vicky, as we look at the stats here, what stands out?
Oh, the damage output that we see from Devil Dinosaur again. Then you see Chime out here too with nearly a 30k. Mace was also able to keep that beam uptime as much as possible, but it's so difficult when you're dealing with Stinkers being on the Wolverine out here. Look at this, 23 and 6 here, as well as the fact that Aztec was able to stay alive for so long to get a lot out of that BRB that we've mentioned before.
Yeah, honestly, the adjustment there from Hoodie and Aztec to go ahead have most of the line banned completely. And in some ways, obviously Rocket thriving very well. Hey, just another win in the Phoenix ban department, right? They banned all those strategists, and all Rocket players out there want two things: a little bit more movement and Phoenix not in their games. And they got their wish there, allowed them to cook with success. And overall, I think this was a comp that they were pretty confident in. Now, want to see Energy Shock against some of the bigger competition and heavyweights within this stage 1, but what a way to show out there, Gaskin, as you've alluded to, because this was a team that they got second in the group stage before that playoffs. They looked all the part.
They did, and then they fell apart. And that can happen. Sometimes you come up into like knockout competition and you start to struggle a little bit, or maybe the nerves get the better of you. But regardless, it's all in the past. And that's what preseason is for, right? It's for building, seeing if that was the correct team to bring into stage 1 of Ignite. Evidently it wasn't, and now NRG, they have found that rebuild and they look better than ever. I'm very excited to see how they develop as a team, and certainly if Chime can keep playing this way, because On the Phoenix looks unstoppable, and I wouldn't be surprised if teams start to go for a little bit of a target ban onto that Phoenix.
Yeah, before we get to our interview, I will say some of the things that stand out to me on Nightmare's side. I think Impunity did a pretty good job kind of slotting into that Vanguard role that they have there. SGW, too, kind of living up a lot to that part. I mean, obviously much more comfortable in that backline hit scan where they thrive, but definitely fitting in well with this comp. So I do think they have some things that are working. Fidel coming from, SSG, still finding a little bit of synergy there with Pain, but they definitely have the building blocks to go. They've got a tough schedule up ahead and definitely not the easiest grouping, but they can find success. Definitely, I'm not saying they would want to lose in any way, but then get reverse swept, always, at least giving you a different outlook on these matches. We do have an interview, and pretty excited for it. We will be talking shortly with Madara, one of the Vanguards that have been in the scene for a while, Vicky. Over there, I believe, and funny enough, we did not point this out, I believe it was Madara and Impunity on Dark Zero last year at the LAN in Atlanta. And so now you had, the matchup of the old Vanguard.
That's actually a really good point here, Cozy. And just being able to see Madara step up onto a new hero where we keep highlighting, okay, well, is this going to be the nail in the coffin for some teams that want to try to force this out? Or is this going to be something that some teams aren't prepared for, especially with the inclusion of Devil Dino with Season 8 just dropping not that long ago, and being able to find your upper hand in some of these scrims, right? We've heard the discussion, we've seen it go down on social media, but then seeing Madara really play into it could be difficult in trying to match the pacing of maybe what that Devil Dinosaur could provide to the playfield.
Always has been a big player with huge plays as well. I mean, I remember plenty of the Doctor Strange, Agamottos that were just completely disgusting on their end. And we've seen this, a lot of roster mania. Obviously, they've had the chance to swap out 3 people going into this Gaskin, a lot of these teams, and we're starting to see most of them take advantage of that. There's a few that haven't, 100 Thieves being one of the core ones of that. Obviously, Swamp Gaming, TLC, the ones that I think are a bit more comfortable with what they have to bring in. But as Rivals evolves more, right, more heroes come in, we're going to see these subs come in for their specific role.
Absolutely, because there will be certain players who are far more comfortable on a hero than others, and as the meta changes as well, the hero you're comfortable on, you either have to adapt and change, or you might be benched, and it's a sad reality, but you'll get your opportunity again when a new patch comes out potentially. But that's the beauty of substitutes. In like every real sport, substitutes are heavily used. Esports, it's a little bit more rare, but that's why I kind of love Marvel Rivals esports, because we are starting to see those subs used a little bit more frequently.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nightmare, they've got a tall task because it's going to be Sentinels tomorrow for them. And Sentinels is coming off a loss that they definitely, look to correct a lot of the mistakes that they had. And one of those teams is going to be very desperate to find the win because we talked about it. It's only the top 4 in each group moving on. And that has so much pressure. Obviously, relegation being a part of this thing, too, for teams, like Nightmare, if you will. And, Vic, I think that's going to play a huge part.
Yeah, I'm excited. Just already seeing how everything is shaped up, Cozy. I was sitting on the edge of my seat watching you guys take us through the action yesterday. Like, oh my gosh, finally, I get to see what, Black Cat in the hands of a pro player is going to look like. Where is Devil Dinosaur going to stay? How is the pick and ban phase going to influence these 2 new heroes coming up to the plate? And then seeing how a lot of our former Vanguard players, how they've been able to make those adjustments, especially the Vanguard players that have always played so aggressive, now really being able to shine through creatively in a different hero.
Yeah, well, listen, I think Madara and Co, they're just too excited. They're celebrating too much, the interview. We're not going to be able to get together, but we do have ourselves an amazing matchup next. Probably the one that I would say a lot of people have circled in. What are these new teams? What have they cooked up in the lab? The free agency, FlyQuest, 100 Thieves coming at you at the other side of this break.
쓰러지지 말 끝까지 일어나야 해 어딜 가든지 극복해 힘은 너에게 있는 걸 소리 높여 노래를 불러 작은 걱정 따윈
Hello and welcome back, my friends, to our second matchup of the day, and it is from looking last year, the two highest placed teams in the grand finals that we had on the Americas side, FlyQuest, 100 Thieves. One team looks a whole lot different, the other looking somewhat the same, but these teams are definitely both having a lot to prove. Coming into year two, not exactly on the same fire that Ignite brought year one. Vicky, right away, FlyQuest, that's the team we want to talk about, right? Because if you look at them front to back, this team's looking a lot different. They lost someone like Vest, but they brought in some great talent.
I'm excited to see Cart, and I think everybody else is. I can't wait to see how Cart slots into this team, but, you know, he's not the only one, right? We got Techie, you know, and the fact that we get both of them together with Velocity, with Zella, like, this is going to be a completely different look for FlyQuest.
Yeah, for sure. Gaskin, I mean, Techie coming over there from Sentinels. You know, when everything began, I was like, where is Techie? We got to get more of him in the scene. What was a great Vanguard, especially, you know, last year. We'll see how they've evolved as a player. And then Cart, if you're going to replace Vest, I mean, Cart is a great one to do so. Obviously, a bit more niche in the hero pool in general, but plays those heroes at some of the best role. Might be the best Hulk in this entire game. That's talking all regions.
And we've just seen what Hulk can do when in the right hands, you know? So FlyQuest, I'm sure, will be delighted to have the pickup of Cart. Losing Veswa is, of course, going to be a heavy hit, but I think they've brought in some fantastic replacements, like Velocity coming in previously in NRG as well, who we just watched. For the side of Techie, yes, Sentinel's back in Ignite of 2025, so glad to see him back on a roster, on a top roster as well, because FlyQuest, let's be honest, it was an extremely disappointing preseason. That is not what we would expect from a team that was in the grand finals that far on. And we were expecting them now to show us what they can be made of, although they are going up against 100 Thieves, who are unchanged, as you mentioned.
Yeah, they kind of started coming into form more towards the second half, and I think Velocity was a big pickup for them because they need more of a voice. They need a leader in that backline. He loves to, you know, kind of have that slot, so great pickup from them. We then take our eyes to 100 Thieves, which I would say, even though FlyQuest had its moments, obviously in the preseason that were disappointing, 100 Thieves might be towards the top of that list. They kind of tripped into the playoffs, and then on top of that, this is a team with very high expectations. People know these players as household names. TTK, one of the best in the biz. Emma, obviously coming back to the light, he will love. But you've got players front to back that have the experience. They've got a brand new identity. What will we see from this 100 Thieves team that typically come out a bit slow, but they usually own these stages?
It's a good question, Cozy, because then you have to imagine, after watching the action from even Sentinels just yesterday, are we going to see a very similar game plan, or have we made the adjustments to not really lean onto just one composition that we excel in, right? And that's something 100 Thieves have to obviously been working on. You have TTK that gets to go back up together with Emma Frost, and it's kind of been like the TTK show that you and I have seen from the very beginning of time. And then you match that together with a team that didn't make those adjustments in terms of a roster, but obviously having to make adjustments in terms of the compositions that they want to rely on.
Well, heck, if we talk about what we just said, you need a dive hero to have that forefront. Self is a very good representation of that, as we see our Group 8 Gatekeepers, 6th place finish on that preseason, and the struggling Giants. Again, it's a brand new team. That's what happens in esports, and so we will be looking at that not only into the preseason, but as of now. But they've got themselves some veteran names. I think this is a tough first matchup for both because I would say both of them have so much to prove, Gaskin, but they're going against the exact opposition. Like, we could not have scripted this better as the matchup of the orgs to prove.
Yeah, I wonder whether this could be the perfect time for 100 Thieves to face this FlyQuest roster, because in theory they should just get better as they go on, as they build chemistry and as they get used to each other as a roster. So maybe they will come in a little bit quieter into the group stages as they did in preseason and start to build. So maybe 100 Thieves will be happy with that. But the other end of things is sometimes you get that phenomenon of a new team being added, a new couple of players coming in, and suddenly you have that instant chemistry, that honeymoon period where you play absolutely lights out. So I'm intrigued to see which kind of end of the spectrum we see FlyQuest ending up here.
You know, listen, I'm going to go ahead and probably give a bit of an edge to 100 Thieves because I will say this meta favors them a lot more than last. I think obviously Delina played a fine Elsa out there, but I really like to see the front to back that's going to come back into their own form a bit. And obviously, this feels like, to me at least, TTK in the meta for them. We look at map 1 being Hell's Heaven. What a perfect representation. But we were getting a lot of kind of awkward Magneto and Angela in play there. Angela is begging for life with dino beams shooting her to the ground at the moment. And so now you've got Emma Frost back on top. And that is not only just great for controllers and the sticks, I think the Vanguard role in general for TTK is going to be much more comfortable going back to form.
I definitely agree, Cozy. I love how you have to highlight that too. Like, somebody help out Angela. Her wings have been clipped once again here, even with the slight changes that we have seen onto Angela. But then you have to deal with a dinosaur on the other end, or will we see the dinosaur is the biggest question after the action that we just saw in our first series. But diving into Hell's Heaven, Cozy.
Yeah, I mean, heaven falling, quite literally. The only thing is, Angela, you got the fish from Black Hat, too. There's so much grounding, dear gosh. But either way, Hell's Heaven's such a fun map to open it up. I would say one of the more iconic ones out there as we see the wall of statues. That was originally how they teased, I believe, Black Widow into the game. So fun fact, back into the old days. But either way, we take a look at this pick ban. Again, we talked about it, Gaskin. The Gambit's been sneaking through. I think Millennia, one of the better strategists we don't talk about. Obviously, with FlyQuest in, Velocity's going to have a lot of that talent there.
And Millennia got a lot of Gambit in preseason as well. 9, to be precise, maps were on Gambit. So I think if you are looking at this 100 Thieves roster and you're trying to find a way to nuke them a little bit, I think you do remove the Gambit instantly, but we'll have to see whether it happens.
All right, well, we've got Devil being saved on both sides. I think this is the first time we've got the Jurassic Park special. Hold on, 2 Titans going at it, both in Orgs and in the Dino Sense, and it's going to be the Gambit Mantis band. You know what? This is what I love to see is the homework from yesterday a bit, but also what I would probably expect here for the tip of the cap to the strategist, Vic.
Yeah, John Williams is once again singing just somewhere else, right? It's not going to be the Jeff dun 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 dun. No, instead you're going to have to cue the Jurassic Park noise. The Ultron getting banned next to is very interesting here. 100 Thieves, you talk about doing their homework with no Mantis, no Gambit from the side, but then on their end, they're going to be able to prioritize and protect the Ultron. So expecting that triple strat to roll out.
Yeah, for sure. We see Self play a lot of that Ultron as well, and heck, Delena can even flex into that. So we're seeing a bit more of an interesting lineup here. Probably going to lend to the way I would probably expect them to go ahead and enable Self with that Ultron, but he might take that role after all. Rocket going to be banned. That's going to give a bit of love to how 100 Thieves likes to play their backline, as everybody being able to handle the dive themselves, Gaskin. We saw that with Millennia in the past as well as Winnie.
Yeah, we've also seen just how powerful the BRB can be for winning some of these engagements as well, so I don't hate getting rid of Rocket Raccoon as White Fox gets to protect in the end for FlyQuest. Not entirely surprised by that as well, especially with the amount that, I mean, we've seen Zealous play a lot of White Fox previously, so curious to see whether that's going to be the dance that FlyQuest choose to make. But this is going to be a little bit of an interesting one with both Gambits being removed, and we got our first Devil Dino mirror, which we haven't actually seen so far in Stage 1, so it is going to be like butting 2 heads and then what happens around it.
Yeah, and a lot of ways to throw your opponent off the environment, what Hell Heaven is just absolutely chock full of, right? So Devil Dinosaur being quite literally one of the more interesting picks on this map. A lot of strategists being banned behind, both teams here, and with White Fox being the difference. That's what I want to see cleaned up. You picked up Velocity, you have Zelos. Can they find that synergy quickly against this 100 Thieves team that didn't have to go into too many changes overall? Vicky, when you look at it, one thing that stands out, who's a player you want to step up on both sides?
I want to see TTK come up into fruition once again here from 100 Thieves. I think it's going to be a really good fight here, but then together with that and Velocity you've mentioned, being able to call out a lot of these ultimates, that's going to be a great addition for FlyQuest. Part 2 popping off as we see from the Hulk, but this is a series that we've been waiting for, Cozy. Our second match of the day.
Straight out of Michael Bay film, lasers everywhere from the Dino. Gaskin, let's get going as we have ourselves going to Hell's Heaven, match number 1, 100 Thieves versus FlyQuest.
All right, let's get this going, Gaskin. We were waiting for this here, and now we finally get to see what FlyQuest and their pickups bring to the table. Techie, welcome back together with Hart as well. We've mentioned already Velocity in the backline together with Zelos. Is it going to be enough with 2C also popping off? And let's get this gate going here. 100 Thieves, TTK rolling out, not on the Queen herself, but on the Devil Dino.
We're going to get Kart on the Devil Dino as well instead of Hulk. Are we going to see what Kart could do on this new oppressive Vanguard? As I said, it's going to be a lot of butting heads, quite literally, with these compositions. But also keep an eye on those who are going to be playing the duelists here. With the amount of damage you can put in, you can build up those ultimates relatively quickly as well. And it is already going to be a back and forth at the moment. Neither team kind of stepping on the point as it unlocks. Instead, it's going to be an outright brawl on this left-hand side. I
think it's really interesting to see Vinny, too, really still relying on that tank pool, too, to try to match that with Techie. Playing this slow with Zelos being on the Jeff. How about making a lineup here extinct with Velocity trying to be the anchor in the main strat? and getting those COs down. Card take a good chunk of that damage, but it's the delay while FlyQuest have a bit more control over the point, but it's going to be a match from both of the tank pools between Vinny and Techie. Nice bubble from the other side of the Devil Dino that is TTK, while he slowly tries to approach over onto the point.
These battles are going to be all about sustain when you get this kind of mirror as well. It's about surviving, waiting for those ultimates, and then who's going to be the one to pop it first. Zealous is going to have already It's Jeff available if you want to try and go for a little bit of a gobble, but Winnie's going to be the first one to go for it, and we'll actually get a grab, and then the counter comes out from Zealous here.
And together with Zelos, the It's Jeff, oh, it's a buffet of all three members of FlyQuest. Winnie coming out to find those three victims, and 100 Thieves will be able to get the point first thanks to the It's Jeff.
Just an insane neutral that we had to see as well, and just get used to it. These long engagements when you have Devil Dino on both sides, because the amount of pressure you can kind of consume as that Vanguard. You block so much damage as well, especially with that bubble. You can protect all of your team. So everyone just kind of hunkering down behind the Dino and waiting to build up those ults.
Look at TTK, very close to that Rampage, and Self does have the Extermination. A lot of sustainability from 100 Thieves, with Millennia having the Invisible Boundary. Look at Tusi, who can try to go for an environmental KO on the Glartrox if they can get a little cheeky with it, but with the Extermination, finding Cart, trying to move up without the rest of the team getting displaced is something huge here, and it's going to put a delay to the way that FlyQuest want to try to take over the point.
Yeah, this is just going to hurt FlyQuest in terms of time at the moment, but you can see the Glartrox does get released as well. Can you actually connect with anything to try and convert it into some KOs? Doesn't look like that's going to be the occasion here for them. So 100 Thieves still holding strong, holding this angle at the moment.
And you got the Banhammer right on top of it. Everybody's playing inside these spheres before you get isolated. It's going to be Vinny who gets shut down, and Techie coming out on top together with Zelos. Now, with FlyQuest having the number advantage, Cart gets stunned temporarily. The Rampage comes out, and Melly is going to keep everybody up with the Kumio Unleashed to try to match that of the Invisible Boundary. Look at Vinny. He was one shot, gets back up to help thanks to Millennia, but it's so much damage output, and Savannah going down without being able to utilize the Galactic Legend here, as they've now booted their way right off the point and allowing FlyQuest to finally take it over.
Yeah, that was far better, and again, it was just that opening pick they were able to get and allow them to apply just too much pressure really for 100 Thieves. But you look at the ult economy now, we are going to again have the It's Jeff available for Zelos to maybe do a little bit more with it on this occasion, but also Galactic Legend on the side of 100 Thieves, as you are just going to see Brute Force being the attempt, but it is denied immediately as Star-Lord gets ripped off the map.
Nice little charm here, finding Delena Quinn as well before Melio. It's an opportunity to get it once again before backing away. Has a teleport to get together with the rest of the team. Just a little beta switch so that way you can try to get your Kumio Unleashed even faster. Zelos does have the It's Jeff. Can it be as big as what we see from Winnie? As a Rampage starts off, TTK does get stunned. The Rampage going forward before Delena finds Car. Before backing away, though, Zelos says, I just want to reposition here. Really not much I can do to help out Cart in this situation. The Banhammer next to try to meet that of the Extermination from Self. Just keeping everybody alive for 100 Thieves, but it's a straight neutral fight with Velocity having the Eternal Bond, and now it's up to Winnie to go hard again here with the It's Jeff, catching him right at the very end of the Glartrox, catching him like a baseball, and bringing him together with the rest of his team.
Yeah, it's one of the best ways to use it, Jeff, is as protection rather than the aggression. As you see the switch over for Delena as well, over onto the Phoenix, just to try and allow a little bit more poke coming through, as Star-Lord wasn't quite doing it, and you also get the Endstrong Inferno as well, to try and slam down the extra bit of damage, as FlyQuest, they will have to fall back as 100 Thieves regain once more.
Swap-ups here that they definitely needed. Delena highlighting the buffs here for Phoenix and just putting in some more of that extra pressure before the portal play comes in. Techie putting it right behind so that way they could utilize it as some extra cover from the other side of the points. Nearing already 95% in favor for 100 Thieves, and Millennia still has the Invisible Boundary. No sustainability on the side for FlyQuest unless Melly could stay alive to get this Kumio Unleashed.
Yeah, at the moment, no ults to work with. As you said, just going to be the one for FlyQuest when they get there. But the Invisible Boundary does come out now just to give the extra bit of protection for them. And 100 Thieves have to take advantage of this, and they will be. TTK gets the opener.
And off the bleed too, TTK finding Techie right after the Kumio Unleash is forced to be used, and then gets melted here as the Rampage comes out from TTK to play even more aggressive. As 100 Thieves, they force FlyQuest off and get the first round.
100 Thieves looking comfortable here, and looks like the strategy is very much working for them right now. FlyQuest, they had a couple of good moments, but they just couldn't break out once they got pinned back in once more from 100 Thieves. I love the switch as well. over onto Phoenix. You were on Star-Lord, you were struggling a little bit to get out, you were being focused a bit by a couple of the players. Phoenix just gives you that, it's an escapability. Having the Endsong Inferno when you do have that ult available, if you are about to be deleted, you just get an easy out and sometimes apply that extra bit of pressure with the damage too. Sometimes even just a couple of kills off the back of the Endsong Inferno. So a great change from 100 Thieves to stay on top here.
I also think it just follows up so nicely when you combine that together with a good amount of the bleed pressure, and then you combo that with the rampage. It's so much damage to burn through. And then if you're running the triple strat, burn one of those strategist ultimates, right? You go hand in hand together with maybe not getting the impact, making that quick swap up, and then reclaiming the point. We look at what they have now going into round number 2, though, Gaskin, and Hart does have the rampage of their own. Velocity making the swap over to the Loki, something that we've seen Velocity on so many times to get the God of Mischief, so that way they can try to get a similar copy too.
Does Cart pop it early just to try and win this initial engagement and get this one locked down. It was a long old neutral beforehand, and it took a long time before 100 Thieves were able to get out on top. But you can try and target some of these backline players. Winnie just giving so much free heals at the moment, and you will see the rampage get popped by Cart to try and stay alive here. But now Winnie, can you actually catch anything? There is going to be a couple in there, but do you get away? The answer's no.
Oh, that was he cried that shark, by the way, right out of the itch, Jeff. Unfortunate, the game plan does not work a second time around, and 100 Thieves now are forced to reset in the spawn room gates. Great on FlyQuest to focus down on not only winning there, but being able to prevent them from trying to go for something cheeky.
Selphie's gonna have Rage of Ultron off spawn. So maybe that's something they can utilize to try and break through here on FlyQuest. Whereas look at Velocity though, about to tick over to 100. And that means they're going to have the freedom of any ultimate they want from this lobby. And that is going to be difficult for 100 Thieves to break through as well. Maybe they could steal an invisible boundary if they would like to from the other side. But already you can see 100 Thieves trying to flank around a little bit, just sending one player to get a little bit of info, but now they will bundle up onto the Dino.
They get the copy on the Eternal Bond to keep everybody alive through the extermination, and the BRB for Melio is going to bring back Hart. So with the Eternal Bond used up in the form of the God of Mischief, Delena's waiting, forcing Tusi to look down this window, has the Endsong Inferno, as you mentioned, for a hard reset if they need it, but they have to get rid of these cheeky Loki clones that are in different angles. The invisible boundary to allow them to walk up as a Psionic Seduction comes in together. Techie just trying to bring everybody into their line of sight, but 100 Thieves aren't expending anything just yet, as Delena in the straight neutral calls out Tusi, calls out the Loki. The lamp's now burned up as Zelos unleashes the Eternal Bond to keep FlyQuest up.
Delena is just on a Loki clone mission at the moment, taking down every clone that they see. But you are going to be able to survive. Endsong Inferno is still there and available and will be popped now, but is the damage there to get any sort of conversion? No. No KOs, but it will at least allow her to keep herself alive. And now FlyQuest have to just back off a little bit. Maybe they have to sacrifice this point unless Cart goes crazy.
The side questing that you were mentioning before is Delena unstoppable self now to find Cart. Will be able to come back in, but FlyQuest are nearing 95%, so they held it down for quite some time. Good stall from FlyQuest for 100 Thieves finally flipping.
Cart has Rampage as well, so if they can just pretty much mirror what they did at the start of this round, where Cart initiates the Rampage, everyone kind of follows in his shadow, and then they all break away to just damage that backline immediately to be able to comfortably win the engagement. But it's easier said than done, as here comes the push now.
We're trying to wrap up to the other side with Winnie now having God of Mischief, Extermination right around the corner for Self. Tusi's looking to get the reset on the Endsong Inferno. Talk about the extra damage output as Cart is going to unleash the Rampage that we've highlighted before. The invisible boundary more so on one side of the point here, just allowing FlyQuest to delay the inevitable. Wait it out before now pushing together. And the Endsong Inferno is still aligned here for Tusi. Techie has a Sonic Seduction. You go diving right down. And the Extermination as a BRB does bring Cart right back, but we still lost 2 out for FlyQuest. Velocity has the Eternal Bond, so that way they can try to keep themselves in this fight to flip it. And the rest of the 100 Thieves, they're forced out. These walls here are just trying to allow them to get back together with Vinny, who's so close to that strangling prison.
It did shut down TTK though, and Endsong Inferno comes out on the other side from Delena, but no conversion on it, no KO for them, and Cart is now going to look to dominate this point as FlyQuest are still keeping this fight alive. 100 Thieves still scoring at the moment, but when you thought FlyQuest were done and dusted, they just about bring it back, and most of it was because of Melio on that Rocket Raccoon.
Hiding in my corner, nothing to see here. Strangling Prison now unleashed as everybody's grouped up in that right corner. But then you have to match that with the Sia. It's not enough to keep those two members alive for FlyQuest. Vinny is on a rampage, and together with Winnie being on the swap of the God of Mischief, Delena catching out Melio right before he can get out into the line of sight of Delena.
One last ditch attempt maybe for FlyQuest then. And you can see the desperate attempt to fly yourself round as the Venom for Techie to see if you can just get a touch onto that point. But elsewhere, it's just going to be distraction for this portal to come through now. But the opener onto Techie just means FlyQuest are going into this as a 5 versus 6.
And Velocity had to make that swap over to put down the portal. Techie has to reset too with the piece of the Abyss. It's the Eternal Bond. FlyQuest have a lot in their utility to keep this fight going, but 100 Thieves are right around the corner with the Eternal Bond now. And now with Winnie having the Invisible Boundary in the form of the God of Mischief. Comes now the Endsong Inferno for the reset cart. The rampage is over, and Self is about to have the extermination. You're gonna use it right outside of the piece of the Abyss that you see FlyQuest trying to hold it down together right through the Devil Dino barrier, and all the damage output is just enough for 100 Thieves to stray FlyQuest off.
100 Thieves secure the victory over FlyQuest. That Rage of Ultron is disgusting when it gets going,
So
but
good.
FlyQuest sadly just could not find their way through time and time again. 100 Thieves, they look like they've polished things up between preseason and stage 1, and maybe reaping the benefits now of not making any team changes coming here into this stage.
Amazing looks here, as 100 Thieves 2 had also made the adaptation that they needed going into this round. Even if they had lost at that point, what was it? We saw FlyQuest at what, nearly 92% or so when they first took over that point before 100 Thieves flipped it. It's going to be one heck of a series, guys. Don't go anywhere, because on the other side of this break, we got match number 2.
What's up, Q? What's going on with you? Watching the tournament, the Marvel Rival tournament. What you up to? You on DVD?
Hello, friends, and welcome back. The Savage Adventures event is in game right now, featuring new skins for Luna Snow, who at this point is collecting legendary skins like the Avengers heroes. But right now, we've got the Hela serving the goddess skin in the Savage Land as well. A lot of great heroes at the moment, repping in style, and of course, Ultron dripping. And we saw exactly what Self was able to do on that Ultron. Even more with that in crazy extermination. Now, after that map result we just saw, Hell's Heaven, 100 Thieves going to go ahead and look back to form a little bit against FlyQuest. And right away, I want to ask you, Vicky, I mean, what was the standout to you? Because it did feel like, at least for sure, the Vanguard presence felt a lot more stable on 100 Thieves' side. TTK coming into form there on the Dino. No way we get Lower
I think
Manhattan.
I'm gonna go
Oh,
for 100
Vanguard
Thieves on
Thieves.
this one. FlyQuest is
Hold on,
good.
hold on. Hopefully,
bro, 100
way.
Thieves, bro.
Alright, I got hyped actually, especially
See,
like the Lord
the very
Manhattan
one, the
map
first
when it
map.
provides with that UAV that
You
just
know?
scans everybody and their ultimate charge. I could go on, guys. I was actually in Lower Manhattan when that map dropped too, so very iconic, at least memory for me. But Cozy, specifically a standout for me is looking at 100 Thieves, and it looks like being able to have your Phoenix pop off and have fun with the game, and then your Vanguards looking like they're also having a good time. It literally just looks like 100 Thieves are enjoying themselves, and it also looks like they're playing into their strength, right? The Devil Dino in the hands of TTK, hand in hand together with the synergy that we're seeing from 100 Thieves, I think just matches so well.
The sun was getting real low. I want the Hulk to be unleashed, you know, Gaskin, and I think that was the plan they had going in. And sometimes in scrims and practice, you have one kind of mindset, but then out on the results, it's like, okay, we might need to change things
Are you
up. That's
streaming,
what I see over on
Q?
FlyQuest. But yeah, it just looked like 100 Thieves felt comfortable. That was the first time we got to see Ultron kind of represented very well. Obviously, last time in the preseason, didn't quite have that oomph factor behind him with the triple strat. Now has that with the ultimate. And putting it all together, Winnie, though, as our MVP on the Loki.
Yeah, Winnie just doing everything, whether it was the counters with the Jeff ult and just being able to spit the entire team out, it felt like, off the side, or making sure that invisible boundary got down at the right time. Just very cleverly manipulating the map in their favor with the strategist ult coming through. So I think Winnie deserves to get a little bit of love here. I know that you could definitely look at other players from 100 Thieves who were stepping up to the plate when they needed to as well. I mean, Delena getting 23 KOs in the end on the Phoenix was unbelievable as well, so definitely a shout out on that side. But also TTK, I mean, on the Devil Dino was just ever present, and there was the question of where TTK was going to go, what kind of Vanguard are you going to be playing, and that responsibility of playing the Dino is not an easy one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I want to highlight a couple things. First of all, having Vinny as Groot with Dino is actually really tough, because when you have the jungle of walls, it's typically a good counter against Dino and kind of awkward. So you have to be just perfect with those wall placements to help the Dino and not, you know, restrict TTK in its movement. And they did that very well. On the other hand, it felt like Techie, we got a little bit like mystery heroes at one point. There's like five different Vanguards played, Vicky, and I think obviously, we see a lot of tank pool played against Devil Dinosaur. We saw that yesterday, too. You can farm the headshots, really get the XP going, and is good in domination because you can carry between rounds. Just feel like wasn't comfortable on their pick and maybe try to change things a bit too late.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why we were talking about how quick we saw the swap up, whether it be from the Star-Lord into the Phoenix, and then making the adjustments where Vinny was able to get that Strangling Prison in a good amount of time, while Delena was side questing and finding those Loki clones. Splitting more of the attention away from FlyQuest means that I'm interested to see if we really are gonna go to Lower Manhattan and what that means for our pick and ban phase, Cozy.
Well, we get to take a look now, in the map chosen from FlyQuest is Lower Manhattan. The Easter egg, the tease was correct. We have our first
Hey, you want to
appearance
stream
of the new
some
map
Black Ops?
that I saw Winlock.
I'm down for
People were
that.
like, we will not see pros picking this map. Well,
stream
believe
some
me,
Black
I
Ops.
actually think, Gaskin, this is a perfect map for, I dare say, like the losing team to pick, right? It kind of gives you some intel into ult charge, into wall hacks, and I think point one is a very interesting point. I'm actually excited because I myself like the map.
How are you with your iframes, and avoiding that scan is the real question, because there are some heroes that can avoid it, and that was one thing when this map came out. There was a lot of people kind of diving deep into which hero can avoid it and how. So we'll have to see how these pros have been practicing. And you're right, I mean, if you're FlyQuest here, you 1-0 down, nothing to lose, but also, have they been practicing Lower Manhattan religiously throughout scrims? When there is a newer map, you can get a leg up on your competition if you make sure it is one of your best ones, because they might not be as prepared as you are.
Absolutely, and we get a look at the Bald King, you know, Kingpin, aka J3, in the back of the map. You love the aesthetics of this map in general, trying to break your way into what is a pretty well-guarded area. There's a lot of cool maps, and I would say breakable environments that you can use that people aren't aware of. But point two feels a lot like Wakanda, where it's kind of this it's this tough way to break in with the momentum that you can carry into it. And so we'll see how each team chooses to go around it. And we talked about this, a lot of heroes in the game. Map picks too is something you have to be comfortable with. Now, 100 Thieves going to save the Dino for TTK once again. But taking a look, Vicky, FlyQuest not changing it up. They're fine with how it went. They're going to try to take it to another game mode.
That's interesting. Okay, so they're gonna still force out the Devil Dino, which means we're probably not gonna see Cart, unfortunately, on the Hulk. So for those of you guys that were waiting for that, especially me, maybe we won't be getting that, as the Luna is gonna be the next ban. The Ultron ban here for 100 Thieves, something that really did benefit 100 Thieves too, that you were mentioning, Cozy, with Self specifically, was the Ultron for them. So maybe that could be forced out if FlyQuest want to ban that out, but they end up protecting the Luna for themselves.
Yeah, the Luna Snow, it's funny because Luna has kind of gone up and down throughout the meta. And for a while, it was like the Loki Luna meta forever, right? But then now kind of had a tail end, kind of dip down, if you will, in usability. But that clap and being able to get that much quicker to pierce through with the heals and the damage is so reliable on game modes like this. I think this is going to be a great kind of righting of the ship, if you will. Phoenix getting the ban on the other side, respect to Delina on that end. And so now you got to see, where does Delina go from here, Gaskin?
I mean, over to Star-Lord, perhaps. I mean, there's definitely other places you can put yourself if you are in that situation for Delena, but I think that the way that they played in that previous game, they're going to feel comfortable on anything, just not missing any shots at the moment. And I think that 100 Thieves will just be happy they got Ultron again, being able to protect it. Maybe you could have seen that ban earlier on, but with the way that pick and ban has worked out for them, it's just been probably a win for 100 Thieves yet again here in this lock and ban phase.
Well, point one's not always a hit scan factory, so maybe we get vintage Psylocke on Delina or Star-Lord. Maybe, dare I say, Black Cat. I think that's going to be more for Self, but we'll find out right now as we'll find who's defending first into the aggression. That is the 100 Thieves and FlyQuest matchup. Very important one for both of them. Can they seal the deal? Take it away.
Thank you so much, Cozy. In our best of 3, 100 Thieves plant their feet. One win to go here for them to move on, as our group stages have been shaping out very nicely, Gaskin. And we get to see Lower Manhattan for the first time within the Americas region. We did see it just a little earlier, actually. Shout out to Vaudable, who was able to call it out. We saw it actually earlier in Oceania. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in a different region.
Yeah, on that matchup, it was a Devil Dino mirror as well. But on this one, doesn't look like we're going to see necessarily the Devil Dino being pulled out for FlyQuest, because you get your wish, Vicky. Cart is on your big bad boy Hulk, and we'll have to see whether it makes the difference for them.
Okay, and already starting things off very aggressively. TTK with the portal plays, just so that way they waste no time to get onto this point, giving them whiplash. Look at FlyQuest, the alley-oop, the freeze onto the big dino here. But they're taking the fight right to FlyQuest to secure this point just as fast as possible.
Yeah, they almost just confused them, bamboozled them there, and were able to get away with almost 2 chunks. Actually, they might even get to these 2 chunks if they've been able to force them back here, FlyQuest, as they are really at 6s and 7s right now, unable to really break through the pressure that we see implemented from 100 Thieves, who were already able to get the opener. With them going down, FlyQuest down to just 5, and it looks like this first point is going to be as easy as that, and just a great push through from the start.
What a way to highlight the practice of your rollout right now from 100 Thieves. That was Chef's kiss, together with the triple strategist lineup that they rolled out with, knowing that the strap pool was going to get that ultimate way faster to secure them that point is amazing. FlyQuest, on the other hand, now making some changes. Sure, we may see the Cart Hulk, but is it going to be enough now? The UAV comes in, it gets the scan, lets them know what everybody's ultimate charge is also looking like.
Techie switching over to Devil Dino, so we're going to get Dino plus Hulk. Remember, we did see this in our previous matchup, the first series of the day as well, and it worked very well when you use them together. Very difficult to play up against. Tuzi just trying to survive on Psylocke at the moment, able to get away, but was certainly focused briefly by that Daredevil. You've got to keep an eye on Self, but it's going to be Self and Vinny working together, just diving at the moment with Captain America and Daredevil.
When you get Self to just break out of the change and do what Self loves to do best here, making the swap up with Delena, taken to the skies on the Ultron instead. Melio, the Black Cat, is no longer here on the field, is instead going to get caged back into the spawn room gates before making the swap up over to the Phoenix. I do like that swap up for FlyQuest here. Velocity does have the dance off with that Luna ultimate to at least try to help stop this momentum. Self is very close to letting that Devil out, and Delena has the extermination to go.
Here it goes, Rage of Ultron, and boy, is he full of fury, but he gets absolutely deleted out of the sky. Tuzi doing their job as now TTK gonna just pop that Rage as well, and we are gonna see plenty of pushback from the back of it.
Can we talk about the timing of the scan was so perfect because Tuzi was so close to Delena, who was hugging that wall, up on top of that balcony, finding that pig was ginormous, forcing Delena to now make the swap off of the Ultron now over to the Star-Lord, normal triple strat lineup for 100 Thieves.
With the Rampage used now for TTK, Techie's going to have it on the other side for FlyQuest again to try and apply that pressure. Alongside Car as well, they might be able to go for something a little bit different. The switch over to Venom maybe could be what they were looking for here, but Malinho is going to be able to pull out its Jeff to try and get a little bit of extra oomph, but I don't know if you actually found anyone with it. So instead, we are going to be in a situation where FlyQuest are just dropping like flies.
And you go in for the Feast of the Abyss to get a reset, but you have no follow-up potential off of the anti that you landed. Instead, it's the self-show finding a quick 3K, winning the nail in the coffin to find Cart. It's another clear out for 100 Thieves as FlyQuest back to the drawing board because this was not working out.
Another scan going to come through shortly. Vinny and Winnie, though, both have ultimates. On the other side, Teki Melio going to have them available for themselves as FlyQuest just need to find an answer at the moment. They are not really surviving as much as they need to. The sustain has not been there for them. Freedom Charge comes out as well from Vinny. So that is probably good news to bad news for the side of FlyQuest. Now, Ensong Inferno, can you land any damage? Not enough.
And look at the sustain right now that we're seeing for 100 Thieves. Winnie then comes into the Kumio Unleashed. Delena wraps up from the back end and takes a flanking angle to find Melio, who goes on for their third swap, this time over to that Daredevil here. And the Venom not really helping out for FlyQuest too, as Cart hasn't really been able to help sustain themselves. They're clearing up more space as 100 Thieves are taking them out one by one. There goes the strat back line of FlyQuest and the rest of the team.
Second point secured. Delena's going to have Galactic Legend available as well. This is just looking a little bit rough around the edges here for FlyQuest. Clearly, you know, they've had a lot more work to do. They've had to make those team changes, whereas 100 Thieves, they've carried on their team, their exact lineup from preseason, so they were always going to have the advantage in this scenario. I think FlyQuest are probably going to be a little bit frustrated with how this game's going at the moment, especially considering they picked this map. I thought there was going to be something a little bit special coming out from
The fact that you're just letting Self have a field day. Welcome to the circus, the Self circus, but now you have the Dancing Butterfly velocity to help them move up into position after the Galactic Legend was used up from Delena. Everybody's sustained, but you also want to add in a little bit more of that extra damage to help enable Tusi. But it's a trade-off here. Millennia is the first to get knocked out, and now TTK unleashing the rampage. The follow-ups here, Self together with Delena have just been the duelist menace to be afraid of.
Yeah, can't move back over to Devil Dino, but he got ripped right back off of it once more. It's just not fun when you are focused that heavily and you just don't have the support from the rest of the team. Because 100 Thieves doing so well at separating the team from the Devil Dino at the moment. FlyQuest just not able to play on him as they would like to.
This is just crazy to see this momentum that we're seeing. I mean, right now, 100 Thieves together with Selfie unleashes the Devil. The Reflect backing away, he's still alive. Millennia goes in with the edge jump, but gets shut down by Teki. Winnie now, it's up to Winnie to keep them up alive and to continue on this pressure. TTK gets the auto grab, sends him off to the map, and isolates Teki. I love the displacement that we're also seeing right now from the TTK Devil Dino play.
Car is going to go for one last attempt as well. Bubble will at least try and create some space for the rest of the team, but this looks like it's the beginning of the end at the moment. Vinny has Freedom Charge available to him as well. Galactic Legend will come out for Melio. That's going to be their kind of final roll of the dice here to survive.
But they have the Freedom Charge, actually. I like the way that 100 Thieves are kiting away just to negate that damage from the Galactic Legend of Melio. And now Delena finding a UAV scan here, finding that Star-Lord in the back line, but they have other priorities. The Galactic Legend is right around the corner from Delena, and now you're just clearing the rest of the points. Self having a field day once again, gets a 2K. Delena to follow up to compete. Who has more KOs? As 100 Thieves get this payload to the finish line with 1 minute and 25 seconds on the clock.
My, that was quite the one-sided affair. FlyQuest just couldn't get anything going, and again, just the constant hero switching and not really able to find the answers. It all started right from the beginning of that round, to be honest, Vicky. I mean, with the portal play that came in, I think it caught FlyQuest off guard a little bit, which it shouldn't, let's be honest. You always have to have in the back of your mind a potential portal to kick off the game. But as you said, they almost broke their necks turning around to try and get to the point once more. And off the back of it, 100 Thieves, they just never slowed down. Always were getting in the face of FlyQuest. and they get a comfortable 3 points here. So FlyQuest are going to have to try and answer back with 3 of their own.
The title that is TTK has not gone down once. I don't think Winnie also has had 1 KO. This is actually insane how that portal play from the very beginning, Gaskin, dictated the entire pace of the match in favor for 100 Thieves.
Get ready.
Just constantly scrambling, weren't they, for pieces, for anything to get back into the game, clawing at them, but they couldn't find it. And you know, I'm happy that TTK is having this much success. There was I remember in preseason, people were giving him a little bit of stick, saying that his hero pool wasn't deep enough on the Vanguards and was relying too much on X, Y, or Z. And you know what? Screw up. If you get Devil Dino and you can play this way, then sure, you might force out a ban next time. If that does happen, then it opens up the Gambit for your team. So that's exactly what you need. If you're going to get mirror Gambit bans, you need to take advantage of this Devil Dino.
I mean, the fact that you also have the Self getting 12 finals, going down only once on the Daredevil, I mean, somebody get an Exorcist. They have to spray holy water on this team. Too many devils around as FlyQuest try to imitate a very similar play, but much more defensively because this is way more far behind 100 Thieves. Just in terms of their positioning, holding the choke that 100 Thieves was holding right there, also instilling a bit of fear. Melio making that swap over to the Wolverine to open things up, everything you saw from Zelos, but playing its quick position is also forcing FlyQuest to change their attention into 2 different directions.
Tuzi doing a little bit of damage from the backline at the moment as well, and it is certainly working. They are applying a lot of pressure to them, but FlyQuest, try as they might right now, no KO to open us up, and it's going to be View gets that on. Oh, yeah, and Delena trying to follow up on top of it. 100 Thieves just tries so much pressure to FlyQuest.
Looking to the other side here, it's going to be a trade-off. They did lose out Deadpool here, but it's going to be TTK holding their ground, finding Cart, who hasn't had the best opportunity to try to find a dip opportunity against the Dino v Dino. Negative Velocity, the God of Mischief, coming out in the form of the Eternal Bond before Self backs away. They find Velocity, 3 members of 100 Thieves in that side room. While Velocity does find Winnie, it's going to be a big kickoff here. No, it's Jet. While TTK goes on a rampage together with the Galactic Legend. I'm surprised he stayed up for that long before TT finally takes him out. And now it's Deleno over to the side, but it's so much sustain for FlyQuest thanks to the double Eternal Bond.
So that's good from FlyQuest. That was a pretty impressive push through, even without kind of a portal situation. There was no surprise. Instead, it was just brute force from them. And I am curious to see how much of a difference Melio can make on this Wolverine as well. We were talking with Cozy about Wolverine players and how important and integral they can be to your roster. Well, Melio has a chance to show just what a difference maker he can be.
Can he get cheeky with it, though? Volfito, that is Wolverine. That Venom stand for going over to the left side is going to be Tuzi. Also has the End Song Inferno with the reset. Took a lot here out of FlyQuest, but they have a huge amount of time here for 100 Thieves trying to split their attention, with Millennia also having the invisible boundary to answer back.
Tuzi just finding time as well at the moment. Happy to deal damage from a distance. We'll use the End Song Inferno maybe as just a last-ditch attempt if you are forced into it. And there you go, when you're taking a lot of damage. And now you want to try and see if you can actually capitalize from any damage elsewhere to get any conversions of the KOs. Not going to happen, but Vinny has fallen. So 100 Thieves starting to struggle a little bit, but there is a great response onto the side of Zelos.
With Zelos being stuck inside that side room, sure, but now Melio claps back and finds 2. Gets the dive down, Tusi to follow up. The Wolverine Kitty's got claws, and the rest of FlyQuest have harassed 100 Thieves back behind this choke point. But then you see what FlyQuest still have in their pockets, Gaskin. Velocity, God of Mischief, taking with the Silent Seduction, as well as Cart with the extra damage with the bleed together with the Rampage.
So now we're seeing why FlyQuest picked this map. The defense maybe was a little bit lackluster, and maybe they were caught off guard, constantly scrambling because of the time of that initial one. But the way they attack here, they are doing it sublimely. They are really forcing this agenda onto 100 Thieves, mainly through that Wolverine, and also now having Everfrost follow up. Sonic Seduction does come through, and 100 Thieves are definitely going to be pinned back here because of it. Winnie will go down alongside Vinny, and 100 Thieves will be scrambling themselves.
And even with Self finding Velocity, you have the Galactic Legend coming in from Delena, but it's another Eternal Bond to be met against the other side of the ultimate, keeping FlyQuest still sustained. You try to get the kidnap, Zelos still alive, is able to dispel miss away, right behind the other end of the Freedom Charge that Vinny unleashes to paint the path for the rest of 100 Thieves.
Tell you what, that is an excellent response though from 100 Thieves. They looked down and out. They had no right to be able to deny that one, but FlyQuest forced to retreat now. And that is going to be a big time gainer for 100 Thieves, just allowing them to have a little time to think about how they want to defend this next one.
Get that vehicle moving again.
Being able to delay, though, with 2 minutes and less than 15 seconds on the clock, we're seeing some swap-ups. Melio over to the White Fox here, over on the other side too. Tusi close to having that Insong Inferno. Millennial, okay, don't want to unleash that invisible boundary too early. Does have it ready to go, though, to try to deal with that Insong Inferno if they hold it on. Yeah, I know, right? I thought it was going to be a misclick.
You won't be leaving.
And that would have been so detrimental to them, as now FlyQuest will begin to try and see if they can take a little bit of something off that back line, but Self is going to be waiting as the Black Cat. And if Self could just find one, it would be huge for them, but at the moment there is enough sustain from the rest of the team. The heals are good, Invisible Boundary does go down.
Letting it out with the invisible boundary now ending. Tusi unleashes the End Song Inferno. Is it going to be enough to get the follow-up onto Self with Cart following up? Yes, it is. Vinny also incredibly low. Tusi's just trying to mark him before he gets away on the other side of the corner, but doesn't hear Delena right on top of his head. Over onto the other side, having to pay attention to Delena. Does not have the Galactic Legend, but they lost out on Millennia, who only leaves Winnie up for sustain. So 100 Thieves, once again, are trickling in, allowing FlyQuest to have the number advantage.
Delena has done well time and time again, though, when it looks like 100 Thieves are down and out. Delena just picks off one or two to make it a little bit more of a struggle, and also delay enough so the rest of the team off spawn can get right back onto this point, because still, FlyQuest have not scored here. They've not been able to get over that second point. 100 Thieves still holding strong.
That's an angry Dino from both ends, though. It's going to be a rampage, a tantrum from both Dinos, but Self, the Black Cat, after making swap after swap, is going to unleash the ultimate. Does manage to get a reset here from one side before the Galactic Legend now comes up from Delena, but guess what's waiting for him on the other side is another Stratus ultimate. This time, it's going to be in the form of Velocity and the Luna Snow. And now wrapping up onto the other side of the point, it's another delay, but 100 Thieves has wasted so much time away from FlyQuest for the second point.
Oh, this time Delena's gone down, though, alongside TTK, so surely FlyQuest will be able to convert this one and finally push it over. Yes, they will. So now you've got to try and do your job onto the third point. You are running out of time there, remember. 100 Thieves are able to do it with 1 minute 25 left on the clock, which would give them a significant advantage going into OT, even if FlyQuest do get there, because they are going to be chunking away at that clock on their way here through.
And remember how quickly 100 Thieves was able to dictate the pace of a lot of these fights all the way beyond that second point. Now you're going up the ramp here. You're looking at what 100 Thieves have to provide when it comes to taking this neutral fight on the bridge. And even with Self going over to the Ultron, hovering over it before making the swap back over to the Daredevil.
I like the switch for Melio, though, onto Moon Knight. TTK is just a walking onk for him to work with, and he is certainly going to be applying so much damage and pressure off the back of it as well. But it's Self on the Daredevil who gets two, as FlyQuest might be forced back here, forced off this point. And now they are going to have to look at that clock and say, maybe we only get one last chance and actually be able to push this one over the line if we're not careful.
And Self is not going to be lunch this time around too, showcasing the swap up, really helping them out with Delena going over onto the buggy. Okay, I like this now, as now with the 100 Thieves, once again, holding back FlyQuest. They have less than 35 seconds on the board to scan, letting them know who's closer to ultimate and the different approaches for these different angles. The End Song Inferno also online for 2C.
Like damage, and actually the impact is going to be huge as well. TTK taking down Melio, though. So FlyQuest, is this their last chance, being just swatted away from them right in these final moments? 13 seconds remain for them to try and force this one across.
TTK is a literal beast, by the way. Not only finding that strike, finding Techie, the isolation of the bubbles, finding them off the map. That is two in favor for TTK. Delena now goes in for the reset. The Kraken impact, the silent seduction. Can it even be enough? Now together with the eternal bond from Zelos, but you still have the reset from Delena. Again and again, the desperate slump over to the Angela from Cart on top of it, but you still find velocity at the hands of Delena.
FlyQuest try as they might, but they have lost one, although we will see now Let the Devil out from Self, which might just be the final nail in the coffin here for FlyQuest. Boy, are they trying to stay on the point, but they finally get ripped off it, as 100 Thieves will take the series 2-0 here against FlyQuest.
2, 3.
What a showcase of Devil Dinosaur gameplay too, at the hands of 100 Thieves, and the way not only they play around it, but the way that they utilize it from TTK. Great way to also show how 100 Thieves have adapted around a new meta in Season 8.
Hats off, of course, to TTK with that performance, showing us just how incredible Devil Dinosaur can be here, Cozy.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we got a new mascot for TTK. For a while, it was the Yima, sometimes the Magneto, now it's the Jolly Red Giant. And you know what? I mean, obviously we saw the first Dino win last time, but this time was just much more convincing in the way that they want to play the Vanguard. And there's so much they did well. Vinny putting on that pressure. I mean, in general, Brawl is going to work really well with the Dino, just to have so much of the back to front that you have to worry about. But to me, it's just what we've seen with the flexibility of Self being able to play that Ultron in the way that he does, and then quickly swap. And you have to keep yourself on high alert, Vicky, because going to a quick Daredevil Black Cat is a lot to deal with.
Yeah, it is. And then you also have to keep track too, right? Because aside from the UAV scans that you get to see, like their ultimate coming out and finding out where everybody's positioned, now you're not only dealing with an Ultron to the sky, you're seeing this quick swap up, and how you're seeing 100 Thieves deal with the triple strategist lineup in rotating through these ultimates. You want to try to desync them so that way you could put yourself on top, even if they do manage to combine some of that space.
No, for sure. As we take a look at our MVP, once again, Winnie will be getting the honors, but you could give it to so many of the different players of 100 Thieves there. And just to shout out a few outside of what we've seen now back to back with Winnie. I mean, I think just Self in the way. It's funny how Black Cat is played too, even though briefly at the high level. It's like all the relics you see kind of in standard ladder, a lot of fireball use for the kind of wall hacks. It's like, no, the comms are so good. I'm going to use the TP to go in and dive from top to bottom on the backline strategist. I mean, really well done and showcased from them all. And look, kind of back into form. This is that statement win, Gaskin, that this team desperately needed.
Yeah, I think it's a disappointing start for FlyQuest, similarly to what happened in preseason, but again, they shouldn't be too hard on themselves. When you've made this many changes to your roster, you're always going to have to get through those teething issues to begin with, and for it to be against 100 Thieves as your first matchup, like, it could have been against pretty much anyone else who have been making those changes as well, 2 or 3 changes to their team. But the fact that 100 Thieves have stayed as an exact 6, it's going to be very difficult to try and combat the chemistry they've been able to build, the strategy they've been able to implement as well. And it was evident in both those maps.
No, that's definitely a good point, because if you look at what FlyQuest did late, is they adjusted too late in the preseason. They were getting hot too late, and so yes, you can get this first loss, but can you kind of adjust things a bit quicker from there? You know, we will find out, as FlyQuest has, you know, plenty of air to breathe after this, but still a very tough grouping overall. But 100 Thieves getting, you know, them, I think you said at the beginning of the cast there, at a good time, right? Like, this team is going to take some time to kind of get into their own, but I feel like this meta especially, and now that we've seen from TTK with the Dino, is going to favor 100 Thieves in a lot of ways, and that's a lot of thanks to how Vinny is in the flexibility department as well, Vic.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of pressure on Cart. You guys talked about it perfectly, you know, trying to find your synergy and build that up against a team that doesn't really have to really rely on that short amount of time to build that synergy, because they've been together for so long now at this point. It's going to be growing pains. You're going to expect it, and in a best of 3, it's especially hard because you have such little room for error. And I think a big part of that goes into the pick and ban phase. You let the Devil Dino go through after what you saw from TTK in that first game, and you try to match that together. We did see the Hulk come out for like not even 30 seconds, it felt like, before we saw the swap up again. And that also highlights maybe a bad matchup or a very inconsistent matchup that you're not used to dealing with from the other opposition.
Yeah, I think front to back, I would start at the Vanguards and just trying to right that ship with the pick bans. And obviously, you know, with a new one coming into fray, that is going to shake up a lot. You know, there's so many great tanks available at the moment, but you have to choose the identity behind it. Are you going to go more of that Brawl dive with the Dino? They use that a lot in the protect bans, and just didn't shape out that way, Gaskin.
Yeah, I mean, the bans are definitely going to be something you have to look at. I mean, as the season develops and as we get through stage 1, I think we're going to see a significant change in how people are banning, and probably a lot more familiarity of teams just adjusting to what the meta is and what people are struggling with. And there's definitely going to be a lot more target bans the further we get in as well. You know, when we see TTK this good on Devil Dino, maybe it is worth offering up the Gambit and seeing how they benefit, or if they benefit at all with the Gambit, because certainly could be a situation where maybe they're better with the Devil Dino.
Yeah, for me too, I want to highlight Self, because I feel like if you look at it, Gaskin, you know, it's great points, but for Self, he had a lot of big shoes to step in, especially the preseason, Terra going over to the EMEA side and finding success, right? Na'Vi looking all the part. And, you know, there was a lot of kind of leaking holes, if you will, if you look back at the preseason. but Self finally coming into this kind of Thanos role is what you want. And Delena always so well at that distraction point, you know, just either of them kind of holding their own ground. You know, Vicky, for me, that's what stood out. I think Self really coming into that, you know, aggressiveness that 100 Thieves is known for.
Yeah, and then you add that together. Did I just see like 96,000 damage blocked from TTK on Devil Dino? Like
That's about right.
And he did like over like 42k damage. That is a problem. And we're talking about Devil Dino with like no Mantis on their side, like no damage boost, like no C. That is actually insane. We have to watch back on TTK's point of view for that series. That was chef's kiss the way that they were able to slot that in.
Well, we do have our interview, and it is the one, the only Self, the Daredevil, the Ultron, the Black Cat coming in. And what's up, man? We've watched you a lot in Ignite. I think this might be my first interview with you as a player. I've got, you know, the privilege to watch you going all the way back to last year. But first of all, congratulations. But I want to ask you, you know, you don't need a new roster to look new today. What was the biggest internal adjustment and how you feeling?
I feel like we feel a lot more connected, especially because when we first started from preseason, we were kind of like just beginning, so we were like stressed out or something during the game. But I think we've developed and we've like fixed our internal issues from that past, so now I think we're ready to win.
Hell yeah.
You guys look like you're having a lot more fun, honestly. I mean, how are the vibes in your team? I feel like this meta also like benefits you guys a lot more. We saw you literally just farming on the Daredevil. Can you go walk us through how the vibes for the team have felt over making some swap ups in a quick second?
Yeah, I think this meta like heavily favors us, and I think we know like what to play, and we have a good read on the meta right now. And I think teams know that, but I think the vibes on our team are like really good. We're like ecstatic, we're like trying to win. We're a lot more connected, like I said earlier.
I feel like today, both you guys and NRG have showed us just how powerful Devil Dinosaur can be, whereas yesterday there was a lot of struggles. What do you put that down to? Is it just TTK kind of going crazy on it, or is it just the rest of the team benefiting from what Devil Dinosaur opens up on the map?
Yeah, we really know how to like utilize that character pretty well. We've been practicing it a lot. Eric looks really good on it, like he's really nice at it. But we know exactly like how the character works and what we want to do with that character. It's definitely really strong right now.
I've got to ask you, all right, because hey, first of all, how fitting you to be a Penn State fan. Like, Cats is your thing. You go from Black Panther, now you got Black Cat available. Black Cat's stealing a lot of hearts out there to rivals, but you being like the Black Panther that I like to think of, we saw a bit of it and it looked fun. Are you just loving Black Cat more and more and how she's fitting into the game?
Yeah, I think it's a really cool character. Since I played BP, it's kind of similar, but I think that character is like what BP should have been. I think it's a really good addition to the game, and I'm like enjoying playing it right now.
Awesome. Well, it feels great to see, you know, Vintage 100 Thieves get back to form. You fitting in so well as we knew you would as such a, you know, stud player. And just appreciate you coming off of the interview again. I watched you back with Ego Death now here, and would love to have you on some more. So, you know, celebrate the win. I know you guys are just getting started, and enjoy the victory.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Well, that was Self, and a great surprise from that. Just being able to see the man behind the mask, right? Behind what has been a really fun duelist to watch and talented at that. You know, I think that this is going to be a beginning of a new kind of era for 100 Thieves as they look to continue off this success. Now, we're just getting started. We have 4 matches today. I'm actually going from the host spot to the cast spot, Gaskin, and you're hosting. Can't wait. Vicky, it's been so fun to have you. Any last comments from you, Vicky, before you go?
I'm so happy to be back alongside you guys. It's been a fun time, and I cannot wait to watch you guys pop off and to watch the rest of our matches unfold, Cozy.
All right, don't go anywhere, guys. Get those drops rolling, reload, get the snacks, whatever you need. We'll be back on the other side of this break.